So welcome, FreddyMatch. A little bit more about us as an organisation. So FreddyMatch is part of the Freddie Bear Foundation, and we are a not-for-profit. We were founded in memory of my first son, Freddie, who passed away when he was very small. And after that, I sort of went on a bit of a journey of discovery, and was keen to get back into volunteering. I've been a very active volunteer when I lived in the UK, but I hadn't really got into it when I moved to Australia to start with. And you know, as part of that journey, I became frustrated with there being not particularly great digital channels to finding volunteers. So that's where FreddyMatch started. Just not to dwell too much on our vision, mission, and values, but what we are is a technology that supports the volunteering sector. We're not a replacement for in-person interactions, and we're not, you know, in any way, I suppose, trying to take over a market or become a platform of choice. We are us. We simply exist to support you to find fantastic volunteers. That is what we do, and that is hopefully what we will always do. And we seek to get better and better at that through really good collaborations. So FreddyMatch, in essence, is a volunteer recruitment and management platform. And Southern Volunteering SA, we're very excited to announce, have chosen to use FreddyMatch to help volunteers find roles and just provide an easier to navigate technology for their member organisations, which we'll talk more about. And because of our ongoing collaborations with organisations such as Southern, we are very proud of our statistics, which we hang our hats on, that 90% of the organisations that subscribe to FreddyMatch through VRCs find volunteers. So why do VRCs use FreddyMatch? Well, first of all, we are a charity ourselves, and we were built by volunteers, and we understand why volunteers are so important, simply put. And we assist VRCs essentially by matching volunteers with their ideal roles and supporting that volunteer journey from application to you know, onboarding with an organisation. And we ultimately save all the organisations involved a lot of time. So our research from our early clients shows that on average, we're saving organisations 9 hours per volunteer recruited, which is an entire extra day of time. And you just think about what you could do with that extra day. I think I would go to the beach and have a hot cup of coffee, but or maybe play with the cat. But anyway, so let's just talk at a high level about some of the features that you'll see today. So the first good thing about FreddyMatch is you can promote your organization. Each organization has their own homepage on FreddyMatch, and that is a place where it's easy for volunteers to learn more about your organization and what opportunities are available. We are an image-driven website, and images, as we all know, inspire and engage, you know, people in the online world. So we make great efforts to have really good quality images to go with our organizations and opportunities to just do that real promotion piece about the great work that you're doing. If you don't have a channel to recruit volunteers, you can always link to this page. It's your own page. So you can link to this page from either a website if you have one or your Facebook page. So FreddyMatch, primary, you know, first thing that we do is recruit volunteers. So our goal is to help Southern to find you volunteers. And the great thing is that, you know, as a kind of supportive technology as our role, you can do lots of things really easily in FreddyMatch. So you can create your own volunteering opportunities, and they then get recommended to volunteers who align with the skills and interests that you need in the roles. And we have a very straightforward application process as well, that just enables volunteers to really quickly find the roles and get on board with them. We then also enable you to manage the application process. So Southern will see a different version of this, but they can see what you can see in terms of applications. They can help you with your application flow and getting people to you. And all the information on applicants is stored securely, which is very important. FreddyMatch has state-of-the-art security protocols in place, so your volunteer data is kept safely. The volunteer management functions we'll go through a little bit later, but you've got plenty of things there just to kind of help you get that volunteer basically in the door with your organization and just keep all that information, you know, nice and safe and secure, which is really what charities and volunteers now, you know, that is the standard that that everybody expects, and that is the standard that we certainly deliver through this platform. And one of the things that we love to do at FreddyMatch, and Andy will probably laugh at me for saying this because I come up with all sorts of silly ideas, but we like to create new features that help you do your job better. So very shortly, we'll be launching our rostering feature, and this will enable you to do rostering through FreddyMatch for the various volunteer roles and view them nice and simply in a calendar. And it just cuts out that kind of legwork between you and the volunteer saying, oh, can you do this shift or this shift? You can do that all automatically. And we will we always provide information sessions. We can do them ad hoc. So if you do just need a little bit of additional help, one of the team will be happy to jump on a call with you. And other than that, we have a monthly catch up where we go through new features and we answer any questions that you might have. So we're here as a team to support you. Genuinely, I mean that genuinely. And I just I hope that you enjoy the FreddyMatch journey and we can help you get some fantastic volunteers through the doors. So 2 questions that we often get answered. Because of your relationship with Southern Volunteering as your members, you do not need to pay to use FreddyMatch. So that's one we always answer up front. And as I said, if you need any more help at all, just please feel free to get in touch with us via email. There's the hello@FreddyMatch address, or you can get in touch with me directly. And my details are on the screen. I will share this presentation afterwards, or Mel will share it on my behalf. And yeah, that's about it for the prepared content. Any questions at this stage? Anyone dying to know something that I haven't covered?
I might jump in a little bit,
yes.
Van, just to say that the reason behind Southern promoting this is that we know organisations across the board are struggling to find volunteers. So this is an additional tool for you to be able to use to try and get those volunteers in through the door. What we really love about FreddyMatch is it's just quite simply the look of the website, the fact that you can use your own photographs to populate those opportunities, so you can really give people a good idea of, you know, what it looks like to volunteer at your organisation with images of real volunteers. Obviously, you can use stock images as well if you prefer, but there is that opportunity to really personalise how everything looks. And I think, like Roxanne said as well, you kind of get your own web page with all your volunteering opportunities in one spot, which we will be encouraging organisations to promote through your social media, to maybe put the link on your website. So it's just one click for potential volunteers to go and see everything that you have on offer. And I think we kind of live in this really busy world where, I know I do it myself, where you're looking for something on the web, you click onto a website and you just think, oh, there's too much to read there, I'm going to click onto another website. And I think that's one of the real clever things about FreddyMatch, is that the opportunities are advertised in a way that's really easy to digest for somebody looking on the web. There's not sort of reams of information to go through to work out what you'll be doing as a volunteer. So we're really, really happy to be piloting this, really pleased to have organisations on board who are willing to give it a go. We're going to be, I've got Mary on the call who does a lot of our social media and comms for us. So if you follow our Facebook, it's often Mary doing the work behind the scenes as a volunteer. But yeah, the organisations that start putting their opportunities live on FreddyMatch, we're going to start promoting those opportunities on our socials as well, just to obviously profile your opportunities, but also to encourage other organisations to look at utilising their FreddyMatch account. So that's probably enough from me. I just added that in, Roxanne.
Thank you, Mel. Does anyone have any questions at all? Yes, Anna.
So I'm Anna from Anglicare SA. I just wanted to seek what's the I guess what's the best way to find out how to best present a role in FreddyMatch. We've got a community aged care volunteer role that we struggle to get enough volunteers in that area. We've had a posting up since June, but unfortunately haven't had anyone yet apply. So just wondering about what might help to get a bit more interest, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Anna. So what we'll do is shortly when we look at the roles on FreddyMatch, I'll talk a little bit in each section about how we can kind of boost engagement with roles that that sometimes struggle to get volunteers, and that will apply to everyone. If you haven't already taken live that role on the FreddyMatch website, we'll encourage you to do that either during this call or after, and that will hopefully you know, perhaps get some applications coming your way as well.
So this was regarding the FreddyMatch role
Okay,
that's
is
been
that
up since June. Yeah.
That's through the CHIS program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can talk more about that as well. Okay, wonderful. All right, so we'll jump in. Andy, are you able to share your screen, please? Thank you. So yeah, just wait for the screen to pop up. Hopefully I've set the permissions correctly. Okay, so if you're willing to say, so who has not yet managed to verify their FreddyMatch account? Okay, right. So this is the place to start. This page is freddymatch.org. Thank you, Mish, as well. So that's Mish and Annette and anybody else who hasn't yet done this. You need to navigate to a page called freddymatch.org/login. You can either find this by entering that address into your browser. I'll put it in the chat for you. Okay, or you can just head to the main FreddyMatch page and click on the button that says login. So either route, if we get you to this page, and I'm just going to give you, I'm going to go through this very slowly. So if I can just get you to come to this page and enter, and if you have not already verified your account, you will need to click on Forgot Password. And if you click on Forgot Password, you will be directed to enter your email address and hit Submit, and that will send a password reset to your email address. So I'll let you have a chance to do that if you haven't already done that. And if you have already done that, then that login page is where you log in as an organization to access your profile. So as I said, give you a few minutes just to navigate that. You don't want to do it now, that's totally fine, but I just thought I'd give you the chance to do it live with us.
It's Mish here. Where I've tried that before and it didn't work, and I just tried it again, and it's been a couple of minutes because I was ahead of you before you did it.
Yeah.
And it's not sending me a password to reset.
Okay.
So don't know what's.
Could have gone to junk, Mish, or if you can pop your pop your email in the chat, and I'll take a look for you.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I don't know if it's maybe got our organisation email instead of my one. I'm not sure.
It may well do. What organisation are you from?
Southern Koala and the Kidney Rescue.
Okay.
So your invite, Mish, will have gone to the info@scur.org.au address. So that's the one we had on the system, yeah. So that's where
there we go.
Gone.
No, that's all right. I've got the reset one now. So cool. That's what I'm doing right.
Do you want us to add that Mish address to the as well? Would you prefer
that's
that?
All right. I get access to both, so I can. Yeah, it all comes to me, so that's fine.
Sure. Okay, great. So thank you. So hopefully you can get that and then you can log in. Has anyone else struggled with this, need some additional help? please do say that that's what we're here for, to get you going. So yeah, don't feel like you can't ask. Okay. Missed anyone, have I? I don't think. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so thanks, Anna. Okay, so let's move on then. So assuming you have logged in, what do you see? So what you will land on is your organization profile page. Now, there's a couple of things to note about this page. So every organization on FreddyMatch, every member organization has a page like this. Now, these have a unique URL, which you'll see in the toolbar. And this has, so it'll be like freddymatch.org/organizations/ and then there's an alphanumeric code, which is called a slug. Now, that is unique to your organization, and that is your identifier. So if you need to share the link with anyone, that is what you will share. So perhaps I'll just try and bring up an example of one. This one might be a good one to do. Oops. Trying to be too clever here. It's always a downfall when I try and be clever at any point. But let me just find one here. So this is just a random one off the website. So Andy, before I get this totally wrong, it's /organizations, or is it organization? I'm gonna get it wrong. Yep. So that I've just popped in the chat, that should take you to an organization page on FreddyMatch. Now, because I've chosen ones at random, it happens to be one that doesn't have any opportunities live, but if you do click on that, you'll be able to see a kind of a page that's got that public facing, the public facing version. So what you can see is in the as I said, if you look at the one that I popped in the chat, you'll see what is public facing. So you'll have a public facing name of your organization, ABN, email address, phone number, and address, physical address. If one of these elements that you see in the blue box is something that should be private and not public, you can manage that and change any of those details that you need to. The only things that you cannot change without engaging with us are the name and ABN. Now, just a note on the name, you do not have to use the name that's your registered name with the ACNC or ABN or whatever. You can use a trading name or a name by which your business is kind of commonly known. So, for example, if you are, say, riding with a disabled association, you might say, okay, we're riding for the Disabled Association Wollonga, right? And that might not be the name that's registered, but it's just a name by which most people will know you. If they are in any way concerned, they can use your ABN and look you up. And you know, what we try and encourage people to do is use a name that sort of you know, kind of captures who you are as an organization, rather than worrying about what is the standard name on the ABN or the ACNC. Yes, Mish.
I might need to talk to someone after, because our ABN's not ours. So
oh, is it? That's fine. We'll get that changed for you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So you can either, as I said, just pop it in the chat, or you can email us.
Yeah.
So anything that comes up during the call, just email the email address I'm putting in the chat. Okay. Or drop it in the chat here. The chat is, you know, it's private to this call, so don't worry about that going anywhere. So if you need anything updated like that, just please let us know. And I'll take some notes as well, so I don't forget anything. Looks like Alina's typing, so I'll just wait.
Probably just worth mentioning, this was a massive exercise to import the data that we've currently got on organisations over into FreddyMatch. So there might be some little blips along the way because of the amount of information that the team at FreddyMatch had to import to get everybody's accounts up and running.
Yeah, so that's right, Mel, and anything we can just edit on the fly, so don't worry about that. I've got a good question here about the address. So that address in the blue box, that is your main like mailing address, if you will, the central location if possible where you're located. If you don't have one, again, that's not a problem, and we can adjust that for you. So that address is there. Andy, can we navigate to managing those details? Do we have that as a tab? Thank you. So here you go. So here's the organization details. This is where you would edit anything apart from the ABN and name that you can see in organization details. Oh, thank you, Mish. Appreciate that. So in here, we've got about and mission statement. Now, again, these about and mission statement were generally created by the FreddyMatch team if we didn't have that information available from the Victor export. So if there's things you want to edit here, feel free, go ahead. You know, we've just made a best guess. So please just look into this and say, actually, it's not quite capturing, you know, what we want it to capture. So edit this as you will. That's totally up to you. So yeah. And then if we scroll down a little, we see that you'll also, as an organization, have been assigned what we call a service focus. And this is the key things that your organization does. You don't have to tick, you can just tick one box here, or we recommend at a maximum 3 boxes. And this is like, what's your organization all about? So some it's fairly obvious, like if I use the RDA example again, that would obviously be animals. And you know, you could include other things there as well, like say health and well-being, but you know, major one would be animals. But if you're talking about something like the community visitor scheme or something like that, you might want to consider oh, sorry, it's not called the community visitor scheme anymore, the ACCV. Yeah.
It's Care Volunteer Visitor Scheme.
That's the one, ACCCCVVSS. So that might be something like companionship and health and well-being. So these categories, they seem quite like broad, but this enables us to effectively match volunteers, first of all, with your organization, and then the role, each opportunity, volunteer opportunity that you list will have within that will have your ability to tag it with skills. And then those skills will match the volunteer's skills to that role within your organization. So service focus is essentially what the volunteer might be interested in more broadly: animals, companionship, science and technology, and the skill will match what they're good at or what they think that they're good at with the role. So that's that. So if we just scroll down a little bit further to location. So thanks, Eileen, you asked about location. So this is where you update the address of your organization. And we just use like the standard method of you start typing in the search bar and it will populate that address for you. That address, as I said, is the main address for your business. When we look at the opportunities shortly, for each individual opportunity, you can select or add a different location for where that volunteer opportunity happens. We're doing a bit of work behind the scenes with the opportunity location because there's some things that Mel and others have talked about could we do, which are, for example, having locations, you know, multiple locations attached to a single role and things like that. So that's something we're working on behind the scenes. But for now, each volunteer role can have a separate location, and that is whatever's appropriate or relevant to that role. If you need further support with that, just let us know and we're really happy to help. So scrolling down, you can also add your website. If you don't have a website, you can add your Facebook page in that box as well. And then you can optionally also add your insurance expiry dates. This just allows us to remind, for example, Southern when the insurance comes due, and it also might just be handy for you to keep track of your insurance just somewhere nice and simple where you know all the information is. So then we scroll down a little bit further and we ask everyone to add a logo and an image for the organization. Now, the logo is a square logo, and what the best option really for this is probably what you use for Facebook, because that's, you know, a square format. And if it crops strangely on the website, you know, it's kind of overruns the boundaries or whatever, consider like trying to resize it so you've got a bit of white space around it. But other than that, square logo, like the one you use on Facebook, is probably the best advice. And for the image, you will see that I think without exception, the organizations that have been added have a stock image for the organization image. If you do nothing else, we strongly encourage you to change this image to be something that is relevant to your organization. Organizations that have actual photos of their volunteers doing volunteering, or of their headquarters, or of something that is, you know, relevant to their organization, they see much, much better traffic to their opportunities, because people can engage with the opportunity a lot easier. So the image, the ratio we recommend is 16:9, which is a landscape format. And again, something with the subject of the image in the middle, so it renders really nicely on the website. If you need any help with that, just give us a shout. We do it all the time, so we're really happy to help you get that image. But seriously, if you do nothing else and you've got a role that you need filled, I really strongly suggest that you pop a good photograph of your organisation in it, preferably one of your volunteers smiling. That's always a good start. Okay, so if we scroll down a little bit further, we can see all the contact details. So the one at the top there, the organisation contact, that is publicly visible on your organization's profile. So that's the thing that you need to change if you want something different to display in that blue box on your profile. And the personal contact information is what we would use to contact you if we needed to. So if we need to contact you about your account or something, that's the person we'll email. We'll probably email the generic address as well, but that's where you keep the personal contact information. Right down the bottom, and the last thing I'll talk about before I pause for breath, are some other details about your organisation. These are optional, apart from we do ask that you do consider at least answering the first one, and that's, does your organisation support those in benevolent need? This is for our own reporting as a charity, doesn't go anywhere else. It just enables us to report to the ACNC on our own activity. So yeah. If you can answer that, great. And if you're prepared to answer the other questions, even better. But if one thing that you do after this call is just update that organization photo, that would be wonderful. So yeah, so save that when you've made your changes, and yeah, and then we'll move on. Any questions, comments, thoughts, including I haven't navigated to that page, anything at all? Okay, so I've got somebody typing. I'll just pause for thought. Is anyone worried about finding an image or anything like that? Not sure what to put up there. Any questions of that nature? Okay, Louise, thank you. Thanks for joining. Just give us a shout if we can help with anything at all. So I suppose, Anna, that's probably the answer to the first question, is that if you review the images that you have on your profile and your opportunities, that is a great place to start in terms of increasing engagement. Okay, and that's fine. So if you do update those pictures, that's a good idea. We do have a few issues with the CHISP roles at the moment, in that I'm not 100% sure that all the contact details are correct. So that might just be something we need to chat about separately. Yeah. Anyway, so that's just a suggestion, but I'm probably a bit concerned. Okay, perfect. All right, okay, good. That's good. So yeah. And I think the other thing I'll say as well is you know, from a FreddyMatch perspective, when I said that we work best in collaboration, that's very true. Now, it's all about encouraging people to visit the page on FreddyMatch, right? And your organization, you're not in competition with each other, absolutely not. That's why we have the recommendation system, so it's equitable. But do bear in mind that if you point volunteers to our page over, for example, a form on your website or something of that nature, you will likely see better rates of volunteers coming through. And the reason is because FreddyMatch is designed with the volunteer in mind, and it's a lot more engaging than a form on your website. Most volunteers do not want to fill in forms the first time that they're interested in volunteering, and they're more likely, if they see some pictures of your role or something of that nature, to kind of be a bit more engaged and come through and at least make an application or an EOI. So do just consider pointing people to FreddyMatch rather than just a generic form or something of that nature. This is
Yeah.
Sorry, did somebody say something? I couldn't hear.
I think it was some background noise, Roxanne.
Okay, easy. Okay, so that's yeah, okay, so that's just a little tip, is about volunteer engagement is, I would say, images and pointing people to these pages rather than just pointing them to a form, which isn't, like an ideal place. I understand that some organizations do that by default, but you may as well make use of us. We're a free service, so let us do what we're good at doing, which is getting volunteers through. Okay, Andy, I've lost track. What should we do next? Good job you're here. Okay, great. So now if we're back on the organization homepage, we would look to add a new opportunity. So you can either add a new opportunity if you don't have anything listed at the moment for whatever reason, and you just do that by clicking on the new opportunity button and you fill in the different fields there. So these are, and I'll go through them in the context of your existing roles as well. I'll do that in detail, but here you've got your title, role description. We'll just quickly scroll through. Location here, again, I'll explain that in your existing roles, but you can have a fully online or remote role by sliding that slider, or you can choose a location from the like, for example, your main office location, or you can add a new location for each role. But yeah, so this is new opportunity, just in case you don't have any opportunities up there, or you want to add one that is additional to what you already have there. But what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll edit an opportunity instead, because that is probably more likely what you guys are going to be doing. So if we click on edit opportunity, you can see several fields here. So the top field is status, and that for this opportunity says published. So if you go log into your FreddyMatch organization profile and you say, oh, actually, I don't want that, we recruited a volunteer for that role, don't need that at all, and we're never going to recruit for that role again, I'm just going to delete this one. You can do that. Do you just hit delete at the top? That's that big red scary looking button. If you have recruited volunteers for this role, but it's one that you use all the time, then you may want to consider switching the status of that role to draft, just temporarily, and then you can always change it back to publish later on in the track. Whenever you change something, so for example, if you change the status to draft, remember to go to the bottom and press save before you navigate away from the page, and that'll update the opportunity for you. So changing it to draft is a quick and easy way to make it not live on the website, but you can reuse it at a later date. With the title, we say max 50 characters, and I'm just going to go through these in a lot of detail. It'll probably be quite painful, but bear with me. There may be something useful in there. So for the title, max 50 characters. What this means, this should be short, sharp, 3, 4 at a maximum word description of what the opportunity is. You don't actually have to use the word volunteer in it. People coming to FreddyMatch tend to know that they're volunteering opportunities, but if it just clarifies it, feel free to use it. You don't have to put the location in it because all opportunities on FreddyMatch are tagged with a location and shown on a map. So you don't have to put the location of the role in there. And I'd also request kindly that you please do not use capital letters in the title or write the word needed. If it's live on the website, you need the role, so we don't need to put needed in the title. So they're just a few tips, and yeah, don't use capitals. It's just mainly a little bugbear of mine, but anyway. Did you need something?
Yeah, I was going to say we also say don't just put volunteer on its own. Try and, you know, when we're advising organisations about advertising roles, if you're going to use the word volunteer, like in your example there, communications volunteer, actually say what they're going to be doing. Some organisations do just put volunteer, and I don't think that helps the engagement because people don't know what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, that's right, Mel. So yeah, thank you. So the next section is the role description. So we have 3 fields on FreddyMatch, and they are all character limited. Fields are character limited on FreddyMatch because what we have seen from our research is that you actually have a very short window to engage somebody with your role. We actually calculate that there is a maximum of 3 minutes before, like after a person lands on the FreddyMatch website. You have 3 minutes to capture them so that they stay longer. So what we're trying to do is get them through to point of application in those 3 minutes. So we want a really nice, crisp description of what the role is. So without going into this in too much detail, if you have roles on FreddyMatch and they haven't picked up applicants, you've updated the images, just have a little refresh of the role details. So introduction, we often recommend you just have a single simple statement up the top, which is something that is a question or a hook or, you know, something really kind of intriguing for a volunteer. That's what it's displayed on the little card that they see if they're scanning through anyway. So something that just captures their imagination is always a good idea. Nice image, nice first line is a really good place to start. And be imaginative. You know, there's no kind of limit on your imagination or creativity here. If you think it's something that is kind of intriguing or compelling, give it a try. You can always change it if it doesn't work. Then in terms of the role, you've got 500 characters here, which is actually pretty tight. And again, for this, the things that we recommend that you do is make a clear link between what the role is and I guess what your organization is trying to achieve. So we've seen a lot of success from aged care providers up on the Gold Coast who've been number one, quite creative in the types of roles they offer. So not necessarily to the point of, for example, the ACCVS. That's quite a standard role. And it's easy because it's a standard role to just be generic in what you say. But for some people, all you need is a little spark. So if you're describing the ACCVS role and you're saying, you know, your first line could be, do you want to, or, you know, can you spare 2 hours a fortnight, right? Somebody might think, oh, great, yeah, I can spare 2 hours a fortnight. Let's see what I have to do. And then the role would be, you know, we work. I'm trying to think of a good description on the fly here, but we work really hard to make people at Shady Acres in Glenunga, you know, comfortable and happy in their environment. We would love if you could come and chat with one of our clients, or whatever the word you use is, once a fortnight. You can learn from them and they can learn from you, and you can build a great friendship. that's a terrible example. I hope nobody was writing that down. But something just really kind of like gently telling them that by doing this, they're going to make a huge difference in somebody's life. And it's not actually that much effort. So that would be the kind of the role description I would recommend. And then and you don't have to write a list of tasks in the role. People kind of think that, well, if I don't tell somebody exactly what they need to do, then they'll turn up and they'll be surprised that they need to wipe a table. But in our experience, once they've applied, you can have that conversation. It'd be like, hey, yeah, you're serving morning tea, but we are going to need somebody who can help tidy up afterwards and maybe put a few tables away. And then at that point, when they've already been engaged in the role and kind of interested about doing something for you, it's at that point they'll say, oh, actually, I can't, I'm not really good at, I'm not able to lift a table. Are there any other options for me? So I guess just that kind of gentle, introduction to your organization, what the role is kind of generally about, a little bit of detail, like if it's a requirement that they visit once a week, then write that. But otherwise, keep it light touch, just enough to kind of pique someone's interest. And then at least you'll get an application. And then from there, you can discuss the finer details of the role. Similar with need to know, this are things like if you provide training, just let the volunteer know that. Say full training provided, or you'll need a blue card, but we can fund that. So that's the role description. So if you're not getting the volunteers through, again, update your images and just have a little look and dig into your role description and see if it is as appealing as you can possibly make it. So that's the role description. Then if we scroll down, location, I touched on this, online or remote, either the location of your offices, for example, or you can create a new location using that Google search. For the and Andy's just that up there. So then for the date, this is when does the role start? If it starts immediately, put today. What's the best location for home visiting program? Yeah, that's a great question, Anna. So this is where we've got this this issue where we don't have multiple roles, multiple locations per role. If you cover a number of suburbs, I would probably encourage you to put in a suburb location for each of maybe list a few roles with different suburbs on them. Maybe let's have a chat about that so we can get that set up really well for you.
Roxanne, if I just jump in,
sure.
what we're doing, Anna, is looking at where we've got the referrals for people needing visits and creating roles around that. So if we've got, a couple of people in Glenelg that we know are on the waiting list wanting a volunteer visitor, we're creating a role to say volunteer visitors Glenelg area. I don't know if that helps, but it's just a workaround we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, so we've got pretty much everywhere in Adelaide Metropolitan that we're desperate for. So yeah, it's a challenge because pretty much wherever someone's based, we have someone that they can visit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anna, in that case, I might encourage you to list 1 or 2 key roles where you really struggle to find people, and then in the need to know, write multiple locations available, something of that nature, just as to indicate that to people. Yeah, okay, but that's good to know. I think we'll probably have a chat about that. Yeah. Okay, so I see that Susie is writing a question. Take your time, Susie. I can always go back a bit. I'm just conscious I'm talking a lot and not getting through the content. Commitment and support details, nice and straightforward here. Thanks, Susie. Just let us know if you need to have a chat through anything. So commitment and support details. We have hours per week at the top, and that is, roughly speaking, generally, on average, how many hours is it per week? It's usually it's tempting to be like, oh, well, it could be a number of things, but just really put in the minimum number of hours that somebody could do, if I give you a piece of advice. And that way, people who are, people roughly know how much time they can spare per week. And that's why we use that metric. It doesn't have to be exact. And often volunteers will give you much more than what the minimum is. So don't be concerned about that. But we do encourage you to put like a minimum value there, and also be honest. And if you do need somebody for 8 hours a week, do put that in there. So you're not, you're not mismanaging expectations. Availability, commitment, and target gender. Availability, the options are weekdays and weekends and flexible. So if you need somebody on a particular day, just put weekdays or weekends. Commitment is this, if it's an event, that would be one-off. If it's a kind of an ongoing engagement, for example, ACCBS, then it'd be ongoing. And if it's a mixture of both and you can actually accommodate both, then just put in flexible. One-off can also be used for shorter term engagements. So if it's, a couple of months you need someone, I would say that falls into the category of one-off as well. Target gender, we have this here. So if you are a shelter of some description, or you work with a particular gender and you need that gender volunteer, just put in the target gender. Otherwise, you can just leave that as any. We also have 2 tags here, and hopefully as we go along with Southern, these will get a little bit more utilization. So we have NESB support, that's non-English speaking background, and disability support. So for now, if your organisation works with any volunteers who are from a non-English speaking background, or you can offer support to a volunteer who's living with a disability, please do consider checking these boxes and supporting like a really great, diverse volunteer cohort as well, if you can. If you need more information about that, that will kind of come as we go along with this relationship. So if we scroll down a little bit, we've got Centrelink or government payment. If the role is Centrelink approved, you would put that slider to yes. And then below that, we have additional requirements. Now, this is a really kind of a really easy way of saying this is, if you just want applications and you're going to take them through your own process anyway, unless there's something you desperately need somebody to tell you, like they need to have a driver's license, or they need to be female, or you definitely need to know whether or not they are volunteering for Centrelink. You can just leave this all blank, and all a volunteer will be asked to do is provide a little bit of explanatory text about who they are, why they want to volunteer with you, and the key information will be automatically taken from their profile. So if you check these boxes, the volunteer will be asked for this information at point of application, and they will not be able to proceed with their application unless they provide it. So if you don't need it, don't ask for it. And if you do need it, just check the boxes and they'll be asked for that. If there are things that you need additionally, let us know. We're always open to adding additional categories in these fields. So if we scroll down a little bit further, we can see the skills. And like I said at the beginning, when we talked about your organization has a service focus, each role that you list should have a skill focus. Again, 1 skill or 2 skills is best, 3 at a maximum, and this enables us to match the right volunteer with your role. Again, if you're confused by the categories, you need some support, you just let us know. But they are fairly self-explanatory, and we also map them to some of the common categories that you will have seen before. So if we continue to scroll, and this really is, I guess, the final piece of the puzzle, is the images. Just like you have an image for your organization, each opportunity you put on FreddyMatch should also have an image. This image should be different to the one that you have for your organization, because your organization's image will display in the carousel with these images. You can just add 1, and the maximum here is 3. With the image, try and get an image that's relevant to the role that you're advertising. So try and make that image something that talks, if you have a community garden and you want somebody to drive people to the community garden, put a picture of a bus or somebody driving people. And the organization image would probably be of that community garden, and it just gives that linkage, that kind of pictorial reference of what the role is all about. Similar guidance applies with this images. You will have stock images in there at the moment. They're nice, good quality stock images, but this is something you should definitely look at changing. Final thing on the page is the expiry date. Excuse me. If you want the role to disappear from the website or go to draft status after a certain time, so for example, it's coming up to gift wrapping season, If you've got a gift wrapping role and it's going to end on the 23rd of December, you can put 23rd of December in the expiry date, and the opportunity automatically go to draft status after that point. So it will no longer be live and attracting roles. Anything else, Andy, I've missed? Okay, great. So you scroll down, you hit save, and that's your image. Sorry, that's your opportunity updated. So those are the key things that we're trying to encourage people to, I guess, get on top of now. We as a team will be around, you know, and able to have a chat until the middle of December, and then we'll be back in early January. And once we start getting some applications flowing through the website, we can talk a little bit more about some of the application management features. But I don't want to overwhelm you with information right now when you don't need that little piece of it. So any questions at all right now, just stay on the chat. I'll end the recording. You can just ask in a relaxed fashion or get in touch with us, and we are really happy to help you get started. And thank you for listening.
Thanks, Roxanne. That was great. I think it is worth mentioning, if people get their opportunities published, they do get an email to say if there's been an application, don't they? And like you say, we'll do another webinar around managing those applications within the platform, because yeah, I think it would overwhelm people if we did that now. But they would, if they get their opportunities live, they're going to get an email with the person's details and go from there. So yeah, and we'll, like I say, be specifically promoting any opportunities that are published through our social media, just to get that engagement in the platform as well. So certainly if you get some of your roles up there and live, flick me an email, and either myself or Mary will get onto that and start advertising it through our social media. So I'm very happy to do that.
Thanks, Mel.